Brainstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger. With me, as always, once again in the same room, is Trevor Scott.
This is going to be a record.
I think it's absolutely a record for the number of consecutive in-person recordings. This is what happens when I move a few blocks away from you.
And then I move a few blocks away because it's too close. Potentially.
Yes. So we're going to do some click pitch. It is the Global Game Jam. We've just gotten back by the time you're listening to this, but we're about to go at the time of recording.
Yes, we may have already got the theme, so we're going to use the theme this week because why the fuck not?
Yes, and this obviously will not come out until after it's all done, so we're not spoiling it for anyone.
Yep, we've been told not to say anything when we're actually in the...
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people want to be surprised at the initial kind of keynote for the weekend-centric version of it. Technically, the jam has started, but
yes,
we will be jamming from Friday evening. So, the theme of the Global Game Jam this year is Roots. Which
isn't great.
I mean, I guess there are a lot of different ways you could go with it, but I am certainly finding it difficult to really latch onto anything good.
I mean, I just kind of wish that we could take this like we normally do, which is it's just a jumping off point.
Well, and you can. I mean, look, there's no real strict rules at the Global Game Jam. We can do whatever the fuck we want. But we do want to try to stay somewhat within the theme. So, I don't know. We may do something tooth-related. We'll see. That has been our main gist so far. But tonight, we are going to play our regular click pitch. And this is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. And on the count of 3, 2, 1 click, we're going to get 2 words, single words. Should we just do...
Okay, let's do single words.
Just so we kind of give each of them an equal weight. Each get a word... we're going to read them out loud, throw them together, and then we're going to add roots, the theme, to that this week. And then we're going to make a game design out of that. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Increase.
Dispensing.
Roots.
Okay. And I think before we start, let's take this as a bit of a brainstorming session potentially for the jam, so we'll try to keep them sort of small scope games, potentially doable. Dispensing is interesting because that's definitely sort of something that can be turned into a mechanic of some sort.
I think increase and roots, and we kind of quite often take it in teeth.
Yeah.
What if you have to keep on pulling teeth out of your face because they keep on growing at alarming rates, and then you got to dispense it out?
Okay. Pulling teeth is an interesting one. Whether it's your own mouth or you're like a dentist, and I mean, we've got a history with dentistry on this podcast.
Yeah.
So you'd be a bit of an
guy.
anti-hero. Yeah. Pulling teeth from a mouth. I can picture sort of a surrealist, fast-paced, you're having to pull certain teeth based on, I don't know, the rot level or the value of them, or like, again, because if we're
an anti-hero and we're basically putting it into...
Yeah, we're pulling them for... Or maybe it's that you have a series of mouths come across and you've only got a certain amount of time you want to pull the highest value teeth.
Or, you can help the person and pull the rotten one.
Maybe that's the balance. Maybe you might come across a mouth, and I think all you basically see is like the mouth. And it's got a really rotten, painful looking tooth, and it's got a gold tooth, and you're like, you've only got enough time to pull one.
Because it's on the conveyor belt.
It's essentially on a conveyor belt. It might even be continuously moving. It's just a carousel of mouths.
It's VR, 100%.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I feel like I want to veer away from VR. This game jam is the only thing, but this would be pretty good in VR. I don't know. It could be good as sort of a a mouse game as well, in a way where you're having to use that.
Because I know there's something about having to sort of get the right angle to actually pull the tooth out.
It's
Otherwise,
true. That would be tough in VR, though, I think, to make work well. I'm almost picturing it more of a, you have to move onto the teeth, grab it, and then just like wiggle your mouse back and forth to yank it out or something. So it's almost a physical thing. Or maybe if you're using the controller, you're just having to like move between each tooth. Like you don't even have a way to select it directly. It's like scroll across all teeth till you get to the one that you want, and then you like grab the trigger and wiggle the thumbstick or something to wiggle it back and forth.
And then at the end, when you've got all your teeth, you hand it to your nurse, and they're able to like dispense out the cash that you.
Yeah, I think the dispensing is just like you're literally getting cash for teeth.
Yeah.
It's a cash for teeth scheme.
Yeah,
yeah, government funded. Cash for tooth. It's a government initiative. Good old Dan Andrews. He's always like trying to make us recycle
and but then you've also got like one of those dodgy cash for gold sort of places down at the local mall.
Yeah, well, they're taking advantage of the government subsidized the rebates.
Oh my god.
There's something there. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Flannel.
Level.
Okay. Roots. Flannel on a level just makes me think of like a tradie of some sort.
It makes me think of a lumberjack.
Or a lumberjack. Yeah. Would a lumberjack use a level? Or are you just thinking more like level-based?
It's a level-based thing of he's got to clear out, this area, and it just so happens that he's on like an alien planet.
Okay.
And the roots grow back very quickly, so it's all about...
I feel like didn't we have a very similar game to that in our Christmas episode?
I don't remember. I don't think I edited that episode, so I don't remember whatsoever.
So you don't remember what happened. We had one where you had Santa Claus was trying to go through a forest and the trees grew back.
Yeah.
But this is more of a single lumberjack. This could almost be... Because we've talked about that we want to mess with a twin stick shooter.
Mm-hmm.
This could have twin stick shooter elements where...
He automatically swings his axe.
Well, it doesn't have to be we don't have to go the automatic way, because we've also been talking about Vampire Survivors likes. There's got to be a better word for those than Vampire Survivors likes.
Single twin stick shooter.
Single twin stick shooter. Twin stick shooter, but one of your sticks is controlled by the computer.
Single auto shooter.
I think maybe an auto shooter is probably it. But no, I think with this one, it doesn't necessarily have to be an auto shooter, but I am thinking it's fairly slow fire rate. Like you're throwing axes at trees.
Is this lumberjack afraid of trees?
Well, no, I don't know if we want to go that far. Harkening back to one of our very early episodes. But using axes, maybe you get different types of axes. I don't know. But I do think the trees are growing back with a very relatively simple, they start growing nearby other trees at a particular rate. But maybe you want to avoid like chopping down the younger trees because you don't get as many points for them or whatever, and so you sort of almost having to strategize a bit of how you clear it out. And maybe there can be some other elements of the map that affect how you might want to approach clearing a copse of trees as it grows, or
especially when you finally get like the laser axe.
Oh yes,
because that carves through it like a hot knife through butter.
Do you think it should be just met like close range?
Oh,
maybe. Yeah, so make it more actual sort of swinging your axe, not throwing an axe.
Yeah.
But maybe, you get other axes that have like longer range, or just a harder...
Longer range is literally just a longer handle.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work for closer range.
Well, it depends on maybe this can be Maybe you're upgrading specific parts of your axe. So you can just say, okay, make the handle a bit longer, but the head is still the same. Or you can make the head bigger. And so you end up with just this massive axe head on a very tiny handle.
On what looks like a very tiny handle.
But maybe that makes it like swing slower or something because you can't get the same
leverage
behind it. And then you can maybe like upgrade the blade, like the actual end of the,
until finally it's a
until you get the laser. Yeah, it's essentially a
light axe.
Lightsaber. TM. No, we can't trade like that.
Light
I like
sacks.
that. So when you swing, then are we just swinging through all the trees that are there, and it's sort of a hitbox thing, or are we actually doing somewhat of an arc until it hits a tree?
You can arc, and depending on the damage, like
it might
go through the first tree, and it may get stuck in the second tree, or once you've really done it right up, it could go and you kind of get a
that's it. Yeah,
link,
that's sort of what I'm thinking.
Sort of thing where he's spinning round and round and round in a circle because he hasn't got it to stop yet.
Well, okay, and actually that could be an interesting strategy then around how much the trees have grown, because you're obviously going to be able to get through them more easily if they haven't grown as thick and as hard and as juicy. So, like, before you've leveled up, it might actually be good for you to go through a bunch of young trees because you can just swing through them and take down, like, 5 at once because of the damage you're at, whereas you can only kind of do half of one of the larger trees at a time. And so you rack up more points faster, even though you're getting less point per tree. I guess then I wonder if part of it is we're going to have an environmental aspect in it here. You can't just kill all the trees. They won't grow back. Like, you have to leave a bit for a while to have it grow back a bit so that you can come back and, cut down most of them or something like that,
So what are you collecting then?
I mean, it could just be the wood. It could just be...
Or there's like, if these trees get to a certain age, their roots become, like, valuable, as in, like, because they've grown to that sort of level, and then you can actually, collect that.
Maybe. Are you digging up stumps then, though?
Well, because what I'm thinking then is, like, you got a reason to leave a tree till they get to a certain size.
Yeah.
But there's only a short amount of time before basically where the root becomes, viable and when it rots.
After you've cut it down? Or?
I think it's like it gets to a certain size.
Right.
And it's like, here's the Goldilocks period.
Right.
And if you're within it, you're going to get, a good root. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, it's basically
I mean, that could
not
be
viable.
I don't know if that needs to necessarily be specifically on the roots. Like, I think we've got enough of the theme in there just for there being trees, but you could have it that there is that Goldilocks zone of, if you leave an area of trees too long, then you're going to get less value from it. But you still need to cut it down if you want new trees to grow, right? You're sort of trying to keep your run, keep it sustainable or keep the run going. Or
I've just thought of a route that might work well for a coming up game.
Like for our next game.
So I'm trying to think.
I did do there's a lot of definitions.
I'm looking at the Mandrake route, which is
okay.
Quite often considered, somewhat used within magic rituals and this sort of stuff.
Yes. All right. Well, let's move on, because I think we did a lot with that lumberjack game, and I think that's actually that'd be an interesting one. I think we should talk that one over tomorrow and maybe consider it, because it's got the twin stick stuff in there still, but it's got some good hooks. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think let's move on and we'll consider magical routes potentially.
I'm trying to think, is Wolfsbane actually...
I mean, even just the idea of roots with particular properties, right?
Yeah.
And using them as ingredients is an interesting idea.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can just be talking about, like, mandrake root is quite typically used in potions and all this sort of stuff, and even just having it come from.
There's a ton of good definitions of root,
including the Australian.
Well, including
definition
to fuck.
To root.
But like even in plants, you've obviously got the roots of trees, but like yes, the persistent underground part of a plant, so like any sort of root vegetable or whatever, the embed, like you've got hair roots and tooth roots, which is what we've sort of already discussed. The root of all evil. You've got musical roots of words, where words came from. The square root in math. Mm-hmm. Root access in computing, which we've also somewhat discussed.
Had to think about. Yep.
And yes, vulgar slang Australian. An act or instance of having sex.
Yes. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click. Reveal.
Renegade.
Roots.
Reveal renegade roots. I mean, that's a sentence fragment, at least.
Triple R.
Triple R, good movie. You haven't watched it yet. We finished it. It was good. Reveal renegade roots. What would a renegade root be in this case?
I kind of like the idea that, there's like an underground root trade going on.
Okay.
And this person's come in and just happened to either take the wrong bag, and now they're on the run. Basically, they've got these really, really expensive, like even magically sourced roots or something like that. Because I do like that idea now of.
Yeah, we can go with that. I wonder then. I'm picturing where my mind went was, how there's the trope in games of the little character who steals stuff and then runs away pretty quickly, and if you chase him you get all the stuff, but maybe they're like dropping loot behind them. The one my mind went to was Golden Axe, funnily enough, because I'm pretty sure in that there's like a little goblin or something that's got a whole bunch of gold.
And literally in this game you play that little guy, so you have to knock down the guy and then you got to stay on the screen long enough just sort of running around. The longer that you can stand still, the more points that you build up. But then
I think also because as you run, you drop stuff. Right? I think you are like those characters in classic games. They're kind of dropping little loot bits behind them. So yeah, maybe standing still is the goal in this game, but you've got these characters coming to chase you down. Yeah, I don't know. And then would the roots, if you do drop one and they pick them up, could they affect them in some way? So maybe you can be strategic about like what you drop, because they'll actually affect them negatively or something. Different types of roots. Or you can choose to eat them instead of...
And they imbue different magical powers.
Yeah.
You could, combine them all together and mix them with like a pack of cards, and then that could turn them into magical cards.
And then you tap the land and you play I don't know, Magic.
Magic the Gathering. I was actually trying to shoehorn it into our other
idea. I know. I feel like this, it doesn't, I don't know if it lends itself to it, but it also makes me think of an idea that or a mechanic that I spoke of a while ago. You haven't played the game, but it's from Kingdom New Lands, or I think is what it's called. There's a couple of them, where in that game you had, as you pick up the gold, it would drop into your little bag at the top, but all the gold was physically simulated up there just on a 2D plane. And if it literally fell out of the gold bag at the top, you'd drop it in the world.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's an element of that where you could have some of the physics of your movement going into like what's in your little sack, or maybe you're balancing them or something, or like there's some sort of physics-based thing.
I think that scope is a little outside of what you could do in 2 days.
No, I don't think that's true. I think you could pretty easily it's just a matter of having some, some physically stimulated things, and if they go out of sight of a certain area, then you've dropped it, right? Like, I think you could do it. But it was more around, like, because you presumably you're picking stuff up at the same time, right? You're, like, gathering stuff.
Yeah.
But that it just drops it on top of all the other stuff, and as you do fill up, depending on how it's been physically simulated, that particular thing drops off. Yeah, anyway.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Photography.
Turn.
Roots. Okay. I feel like this isn't tree-based.
No.
Photography, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because, photography lends itself to a lot of interesting mechanics.
Yep. A la your Fatal Frame and...
Yeah, or your Pokemon Snap, or your Lord of the Rings walking simulator.
So, you're going around trying to catch politicians rooting.
You're a paparazzi. But only for bad people doing bad things.
Politicians.
Exactly.
And then you get to turn the photos in to whichever newspaper is going to sell you.
Okay. I don't hate it. I kind of wanted to stay away from the sexual. I do wonder how many sex-based games we're going to get at the Australian game jams, because this is obviously a global game jam. It's only Australia that's going to take this theme in that direction. Yeah. I'm guessing there's going to be a fair few jokes. Yeah,
being thrown around.
Yeah. It's a slang term. It's a, as I said, vulgar slang.
If you get caught, you're rooted. That's basically it comes up in the classic, like Dark Souls. You're rooted. Or in the classic Grand Theft Auto, it's just rooted instead of wasted. God. You've then got to have Australian voice acting all the way through it. And
well, that's it. Do we lean into the Australiana of it all?
You just doing lots of photography of these beautiful things, and
well, then
in each level, you can find someone rooting.
Well, maybe no. I think where we bring rooting in is just that it is an Australian slang, so we do the Australiana game. I don't think you need to have actual sex, because you're right. Like being rooted is also
you're fucked.
You're fucked. Like you screwed up. So maybe you're like a spy or something. You're an Australian James Bond.
You see someone get absolutely smashed by a car, and it's like, oh fuck me, they're rooted. And it's like you see he's taking a photo, and there's just the 3D words coming up, rooted.
Well, I think you're Jazza Bond. And you're trying to infiltrate, you're trying to sneak in somewhere.
Wow.
And if you get busted, then you're rooted.
Yeah.
I think that's the game.
That's pretty crazy. I
think you could do I'm just thinking scope here. You'd have to do it fairly simple mechanics and fairly simple graphic style. You're not going to do Hitman or Splinter Cell or something. But you could do something almost like Monaco.
Is that an Aussie barbecue? Because that's just,
right.
Nothing more Aussie than that. And he brings a slab in and puts it down and trying to blend in with everyone, and it's kind of a spy party-esque thing.
So you're really just thinking what the Aussie Hitman would be like now? Yeah, okay.
Got to go in and take a photo.
If you don't go hang around the barbie with the guy cooking the sausages, then you're going to get caught out. They're going to wonder why.
But then again, if you spend too much time, then they're going to get suspicious, because it's like, who are you?
Well, that's it. They don't actually know you, but you have to show your face for a bit.
Yeah, you have to keep yourself well known, but also get inside and take photos after you got root access to their computer.
Oh right, we'll bring that into
then you got to get out again. I kind of like that. Just getting in, doing all these different things, putting as many different routes. You go in there and it's
all
like,
the different
licorice root. Root beer.
That's not very Australian. He sarsaparilla.
He literally brings a slab of root beer thinking that, he's not been in Australia.
So he's trying to blend in as an Australian. And they're like, what the fuck's that, mate? We drink SARS here. Sarsaparilla here.
Fucking sarsaparilla. Who the fuck likes licorice in their fucking,
Americans. Okay, the slightly different medical direction. Optometrist.
Help. Roots.
Do eyes have roots?
That's
it. Like your ocular nerve is kind of the root.
It's the root of the eye.
I can see some fun physics on roots, on eyes hanging by the root,
pruning the roots of the eye.
Oh, gross!
You got your little potato peeler and you're just shaving it back.
Oh.
And that's
what was your word? Does it matter?
Help.
Okay, well that's not helping.
So that's exactly what they're going to do to your eyes.
The week after the Game Jam when I go get laser surgery.
They're going to get their potato peeler.
They peel a little flap. Yeah. They demonstrated to me on a potato, actually.
They didn't show you the fact that they actually pop the whole eye out and you can actually see in two different directions at once.
They just take a photo beforehand to make sure they put it back in. You
got to prune those roots though.
You can't let them overgrow.
No,
it's dangerous.
Those ocular roots they can do some massive damage.
So are you saying that in this game, people come across your desk, table, whatever, and you just pop out the eye, it's just hanging there by the root, and you just shave it down a little bit and put it back in.
And then you do the other one the week later because you got to let that one heal.
Right. Maybe we go in a more surrealist direction.
More surreal.
The eyes, it's more of a thematic thing around eyes. We just have plants that are kind of eyes on their roots. We have, lots of buildings have big eyes on them.
Eye gardens.
Yeah, just eye gardens of all that. They turn to look at you as you walk past, of course.
Yay. That's not creepy at all.
Maybe the people in this world just have one big eye on their neck. It's just a world of eyes.
It's a world of Cyclops. They've got one huge eye in the middle.
Right. And they're very proud of it.
And their ocular roots need
their
pruning.
I just don't see pruning ocular roots to be a good gameplay mechanic. I don't really feel... I can't picture the game feel of that. Squeezing an eye now, that's a bit different. I could see squeezing an eye for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to get to the root of the problem.
To focus. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's...
And quite often with eyes, the root of the problem is the fact they're rooted.
That they're rooted, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. We can get away with using root in many different ways.
Yeah.
Anything can be rooted in our game. And then that we've used roots.
You die, you get covered in roots and you get pulled down into the underworld.
Yeah, Tasmania.
Yeah. And then...
That's what we call the underworld.
Okay, let's go one more. Oh,
we're there already. Holy moly. We haven't even come up with what we're going to build yet.
Branch.
Refuge.
Roots.
Climbing a tree.
GitHub. Got to get root access to be able to prune that branch off of GitHub.
Okay. But it's metaphorical. So it's physical branches still. Like you're
Yes.
dealing with actual trees.
Yeah, the way to prune it is you have like the
You're in
digital
like
shears. And you
Yeah. You're in like someone's repository
yeah.
with all their branches.
GitHub. Not GitHub. GitHub. Or Plant Hub. Plant Hub.
Root hub. No, that might be read as Ruth hub.
Ruth Hub.
Although yours could be plant thub. So, plant thub.
Plant Hub. Plant Hub.
Have we? Is it actually Github? Because we've been pronouncing it wrong this
I
whole
think we
time.
have. It is actually
I think
GitHub.
it's Github. Github.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there was supposed to be an M in there and it was like Githum.
Githum. It needs a B. Oh, I see. In between, right. I don't think so, Tim.
Okay, it was GitHub. Yep. Okay.
No. Okay, so I think that's too abstract.
Yeah.
My thought was though, like some sort of tree climbing game.
Yeah.
You're trying to take refuge from, I don't know, a fucking bear or something.
Yeah. What size are you? And what size is the bear?
You're a
in
giant,
comparison?
so you actually just take one step and you're on top of the tree. No, I
But the
think
bear is fucking huge. It's a giant bear.
you're just in a forest, but like you can't actually get away because you're larger than all the trees. No, I think you're either a child or an adult. Like, I think you're just a person.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's obviously a large tree. I think there could be some interesting gameplay mechanics around climbing a tree. Maybe having to you'll have some branches that are thinner that you are taking a risk of climbing on because they could break. Almost a not quite quap, because I don't want that level, but like what was Foddy?
Bennett
Foddy, getting over. Like, that's almost that sort of mechanics of where you have to work a little bit to get up the tree. And if you make a mistake, you're going to lose some progress.
Yep. Okay. How about instead of a tree, it's a beanstalk?
Okay. Beanstalks have roots. That's fine.
Yeah, because then it's literally going to the fucking clouds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I could imagine, those sort of climbing mechanics of, again, I'm kind of picturing maybe a lumberjack, but they're using their axe to launch themselves up.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they go too much, then they cut down the branch that they're currently on.
Oh, that's interesting. Having that risk reward of if you can fling yourself up with an axe, but you're going to take out some branches in the meantime. So if you don't get to the one you're sort of hoping to get to, you might fall back. Or
and you can stick the axe into the trunk of the
well,
store.
and I like the idea of the physical aspect of your falling also being a factor as to whether a branch breaks, right? So if you make a big jump over some thinner branches, you might have been able to safely walk onto those, but if you fall from higher up, they're gonna break, and you get some of those fun scenes then of coming down through multiple branches.
I think it's the game Grow Home or Grow Up.
I think you're right. You're like a robot.
You're a robot climbing
and you can grab on with your hands, use the triggers or something to.
And that was a really cool idea. I could actually see this working in
that sort of style.
In that sort of style, but I can also see this working in a 2D style of.
Yeah, I was definitely picturing 2D. The beanstalk is good actually because then it makes it more acceptable if we have it twisting and turning a bit more, so it's not just a straight up and down kind of thing.
Twist off
you can
the
have
side.
you can have some horizontal bits, and horizontal bits are easier to jump from platform to platform, but if you fall, you're fucked because you're going to fall to wherever the last twist of that beanstalk was, meters and meters down.
Yeah.
And actually, I like the idea of having like this is how high you've gone meter.
Okay. In reality, how high are clouds?
I don't know.
How many kilometres up? Because we could literally make this an endless climber.
Yeah, I think it is. I feel like it's an endless climber, essentially. How high up are the clouds? I'm just asking Google.
According to National Weather Service.
Oh, it's thanks Google for telling me in feet. Between 6,500 feet and 15,000 feet are mid-level clouds, and high-level clouds are more than 15,000 feet.
I can't remember.
15,000 feet in meters. 4,500 meters. So 4.5 kilometers.
4.5 kilometres. That's not bad.
So that's pretty good. You're going to play for a while, and
you're going to play for a while, and then you'll see a castle at the end. And if you make it, like you get
the golden
by
bits.
you get squashed by a giant instantly.
Right, instantly. As soon as you hit it. No, it's not even squash. It just kicks you off the beanstalk.
But
you get to fall the whole way down. Yeah. But I like that, actually. I like
it zooms out.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. You get to the top. For most of this, it's been zoomed in relatively close, so where you're climbing is filling the screen, and yes, it zooms out, and you see this whole hopefully procedurally generated beanstalk that you just climbed as you fall down it, potentially tumbling off some of the branches.
I'm imagining you're now, by the time you finish, you're like a kilometre away from this fucking thing.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's almost like a huge landscape scene then, and you're basically like a pixel on it as you're falling.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that, actually.
There's something about
that'd be good. I reckon that'd be a good speed run game if you made that work well.
Especially if you started,
Yeah, like being able to really get that momentum going with the axe.
You'd have to have some power-ups as you went, like...
I think you'd need to mix it up a bit with that sort of thing, certainly. Maybe you can, like, get a hollow bones power-up so you weigh less and don't break through branches.
Because basically... I'm just imagining you break your leg and just suck the marrow out, and it's like,
I quite like this. I think this would be in scope to a degree. I think the big question mark would be getting those mechanics working well,
but getting also like. You wouldn't want to have to sit there and model,
No, you'd have to generate. You'd have to procedure generate it. But I mean, you could do that okay. Actually, I think you just choose random positions from the base and draw a spline to it, and then along that spline, you have an algorithm for sprouting branches. Essentially, you might not be able to get your loops and stuff in there, but that could maybe be some custom stuff. So yeah, I think you could kind of do that. I think it really would be that mechanic of how does that exactly work with your axe and stuff. You could do it in a similar way, I suppose, to getting over it, where it's sort of as you put your axe in there, it sticks. But if you kind of keep moving in that direction, it sort of pivots you around that point, and you could launch yourself up, and then you can kind of might be too easy though.
Yeah, but then you got those big ass fucking leaves in the way,
right? That you're going to run into, maybe
that you may need to hang off and cut out of the way, or
cut them off.
If you want to leave them there, then you got to work out how you're going to launch
get
yourself
around them,
out and up.
Yeah, could be interesting because you'd have to play with a few ideas.
Yeah. Well, I think that gives us a few ideas for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if we pursue any of these or. We just go with something new. I don't know. I think some of that. I think the lumberjack one could be cool. The twin stick shooter where the enemies don't move; they just grow. That could be interesting. But no, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll let Ryan have a bit of a discussion.
Well, yes, we do have a third person who is in our team. So, but yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us on Bitstorm. If you want to find all of our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm and have a listen and leave us a review. That'd be great.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Dust. So go check it out at crudust.bandcamp.com.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
Roots. Bloody roots.